What is going on, my crazy 76er fanatics? Thanks for stopping back in for another daily pod with your daily 76er discourse. Guys, today we got to talk about the most pressing information surrounding the NBA. This does not involve Kawhi. Before that, I got to thank everyone who liked, subscribed, commented. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for stopping back in. Make sure you like, you comment, you subscribe because we're addressing your comments every episode now. So I appreciate you guys. But we got to talk about the most important news pressing the NBA. Cam Thomas re-signed with the Brooklyn Nets. Now, to many people, it's just Cam Thomas. It's just the Nets. So this is barely news. But the actual part about this re-signing is that Cam Thomas signed the qualifying offer. Now, Cam Thomas is the youngest player to have 3 straight games of 40 points and one of the only 3 players in NBA history to have 3 straight games of 43 points or more. Cam Thomas is an elite bucket scorer, a prolific bucket getter, and one of the best shooting guards in the NBA, which is why he wants to be paid like one, which is exactly why he wants his contract to reflect his talent. But the Nets were not budging. Cam Thomas is looking for about like 25 to 30 to $35 million a year. He sees himself equal to Emmanuel Quickley, to Tyler Hero, to RJ Barrett. He wants his contract around the ranges of players who I can potentially agree. Cam Thomas is either just as good or if not better. Again, the Nets weren't budging, so Cam decided to sign a 1-year prove-it deal, bet on yourself, qualifying offer. Cam Thomas re-signed for the Nets for 1 year, $6 million. The reason this contract is crazy news, big news. 1, the qualifying offer is the smallest nomination of money Cam was actually offered by the Nets. And 2, Cam Thomas has a trade clause, a no-trade clause. So if he's going to go anywhere besides Brooklyn for the rest of the season, he's going to have a say-so on where he goes and who he plays for. There's one big reason this is huge. Cam Thomas is one of the best players on the Brooklyn Nets. So if the Nets decide to shelf Cam Thomas, put him on the bench, allow him not to play, the Nets could be seeing a class action lawsuit from Cam Thomas and his agent. It would be complete malpractice not to play one of your most impactful, proven, and experienced players and give him the minutes that realistically, rightfully so, he's earned and deserves. The Nets don't have too many proven players outside of Michael Porter Jr., outside of Terrence Mann. Cam Thomas should be guaranteed minutes, which is exactly why signing a 1-year qualifying offer makes sense for him. Because if they don't play him, they're still going to have to pay him, either in court or on the court. So I like what Cam Thomas did. The problem, though, is that may lead other guys to think they should also re-sign for a qualifying offer. Will Quentin Grimes re-sign, seeing that Quentin Grimes is another player who thinks that his market just isn't where his potential really is? Quentin Grimes wants around 25 to 22 to even $30 million if he can get it, because he's only 25 years old. The ceiling on a guy with Quentin Grimes, who has experience for multiple teams, multiple defensive systems, and played multiple roles, and truthfully wasn't bad in any of them. Giving Quentin Grimes a $30 million contract, a $25 million contract, realistically would not be bad if his potential does reach the ceiling that we all hope and see that it could. But the market's not talking like that. The market doesn't have $30 million to give Quentin Grimes to begin with. So will Quentin Grimes re-sign? The rumors are and the reports are that he's going to do the Cam Thomas route. Re-sign for the qualifying offer, re-sign for the lowest nomination of contractual money that the Sixers are offering, and also sign for a no-trade clause. Because if you're re-signing for a Daryl Morey team, a no-trade clause is something you probably need. A no-trade guarantee is something you're probably going to need just so you can get a peace of mind. The problem with Quentin Grimes versus a Cam Thomas qualifying offer is that Cam Thomas is truthfully one of the only proven player on that Nets team. So he's guaranteed minutes. If the Nets don't give Cam Thomas minutes, they will be giving themselves a huge headache in the court system. I'm sure a class action will be filed against those Nets if Cam Thomas doesn't play. Quentin Grimes doesn't have the same opportunity to sue his employer if they don't play him, impact some negligence, maybe some collusion, whatever you want, whatever they decide to sue for. Quentin Grimes just doesn't have the same claim for stake because you have Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, the third overall pick, VJ Edgecombe. Regardless of how good and how ready VJ Edgecombe is, he's still the third overall pick. Paul George, Joel Embiid. So if Quentin Grimes just doesn't see the time or doesn't see the usage that he's used to or that he wants, he's cooked. He's cooked. It truthfully, in my opinion, and for the opinion of many analysts, it doesn't make sense for Quentin Grimes to re-sign a one-year qualifying offer because that means he's not guaranteed any minutes, any usage, or any opportunity. Quentin Grimes, more than likely, if he re-signs a one-year qualifying offer, will be designated to the bench, will be designated to that Lou Dort, Alex Caruso role. Because if Quentin Grimes refuses to re-sign, Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse have to limit his market. They have to restrict his potential, and they have to limit his bargaining and negotiating power. If Quentin Grimes is only limited to 15, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, his next contract, his next negotiation period is going to be for a 15 to 25 minute player. Now, if Quentin Grimes does what we all expect him to do, what we all want him to do, and that's re-sign for the Sixers for a longer period, maybe 4 years, maybe even 3 years, I mean, at least give the squad 2 years so they have a chance to give some faith in you, then he has a chance, and honestly, a real good chance of being a starter, a 30-minute per game player, and maybe the second highest player in usage when Joel and Paul George are sitting out behind Tyrese Maxey. Will Quentin Grimes resign? Guys, if you're his agent, the most logical thing for Quentin Grimes to resign would be a $15, $16, $17 million contract if the Sixers are going to be so gracious to offer it. As of right now, with the market drying up, with the trajectory of the market this year and next year, I don't think the Sixers are even offering that much money to Quentin Grimes. But if you're smart and you know how the market's going to go, it makes the most sense to re-sign because next year you have guys like LeBron James, Tingus Pingus, Kristaps Porzingis, Trae Young. Again, Cam Thomas is betting on himself. Who knows if Josh Giddey, if Johnny Koo, if those guys will bet on themselves again. Mike Conley, Norman Powell, Anthony Simons, Tobias Harris. Andrew Wiggins has a player option. James Harden has a player option. Zach LaVine has a player option. So if Quentin Grimes does decide to bet on himself and does decide to re-sign for a qualifying offer, he will be limiting his bargaining and negotiating power. I think it's more likely and the most likely outcome that a deal will get done for a 3-year, for a 4-year evaluation because there's too many stars on the open market next year. There are too many players who are going to be looking for max money, big contracts, and truthfully, the free agent market with the new CBA just doesn't allow for teams to have that much bargaining power, that much negotiating power, and that much open cap space, even with the unrestricted free agents departing from their squad. There's a lot less money going around because of the new CBA. So with that being said and done, you got Cam Thomas. Well, I'm not saying Cam Thomas and Quentin Grimes, I'm not saying they're not neck and neck. I'm not even going to put one over or above the other. But what I will say is that Cam Thomas' situation is a lot greater for usage, opportunity, and potential than Quentin Grimes. If you decide to test the market, decide to do a qualifying offer, you got to not only outplay Cam Thomas, you got to outwork and outplay Trae Young, Zach LaVine, James Harden, Chris Middleton, CJ McCollum. There are going to be a lot of players out there in that open market who play and fill the same role as Quentin Grimes, but just aren't as young. Just may not have as many futuristic years ahead of them for their career. But outside of that, on-court ability, on-court play style, I may take a James Harden for $25 million for a year or two than taking Quentin Grimes for $25 million for 4. I may take Chris Middleton for $15 to $10 million than take Quentin Grimes for $25 to $30 million. The market does not seem to be on the up and up. The market does not seem to be getting better for Quentin Grimes, and especially with Jonathan Koo, who also may re-sign for a qualifying offer, Josh Giddey, who also may re-sign for a qualifying offer, and star players like Russell Westbrook, Ben Simmons, who can't even find homes of their own. It makes the most sense for Quentin Grimes to re-sign for a 14, 15, 16, whatever the Sixers are offering. You maximize their offer, and you maximize the amount of years you can get. You include a player option, and there you go, Quentin Grimes. That's the best contract offer you're going to get this year and next year because the market doesn't look better, and the money is going to continue to look funny because guys like LeBron James aren't on the open market. And guys like Quentin Grimes are going to have to wait to re-sign until guys like LeBron James, Trae Young, and Zach LaVine find their brand new team. It's very unlikely, guys, that he does resign a qualifying offer with all the star players, with all the star power, and with all the potential that he has to be great in Philadelphia. Unless Quentin Grimes truly hates Philly, unless Quentin Grimes doesn't want to be in the city, he's going to have to resign for this team for multiple years to come. So for Sixer fans, just summing it all up, this is good news for us that Cam Thomas re-signed the qualifying offer. Because you don't want a guy like Cam Thomas on the open market with you if you're a shooting guard looking for max money. You don't want a guy like Cam Thomas on the open market as an unrestricted free agent, knowing that he's going to have nothing but usage with the Brooklyn Nets. He's going to take as many shots as he wants and needs with the Brooklyn Nets, and he can play his game with those Nets. Because win, lose, or draw, nobody cares. The Nets are not expected to be a contender. The Nets are not expected to be a top echelon team. They're expected to be a squad with guys. And Cam Thomas is going to be the guy. Maybe outside of Michael Porter Jr., he'll be the guy. So it's the best news for Sixer fans that he decided to resign. It's the best news for Sixer fans that Quentin Grimes is going to have to wait his turn. But, guys, the best news that I have, and I get all the time, is when you guys leave a comment. When you guys leave a comment, I get excited, guys. I just want to address some of these comments. Sean C. says, Sixers, please keep Tyrese Maxey. And Sean, you don't have to ask please. It is a guarantee that Tyrese Maxey will be the face of the franchise, the focal point of the team, and a guaranteed lifetime Sixer if he wants to be. The only way and the only reason the Sixers will trade Tyrese Maxey is if he asks for one. Because Tyrese Maxey is one of the only players in the NBA who's improved every year he's been in the association. Every year, Tyrese Maxey has been in this league. His points per game has increased. I expect that to continue. I expect Tyrese Maxey to find a role for his own and make this Sixer team his bona fide guaranteed home. He loves Philly and Philly loves him. Sean C. Tyrese Maxey isn't going nowhere. I got Bobby King. Shout out Bobby King. He says this, imagine a small ball lineup of Maxey, Edgecombe, McCain, Oubre, and Bona leading the 76ers to the Eastern Conference Finals. Bobby King, I can't imagine a small ball lineup of Maxey, Edgecombe, McCain, Oubre, and Dembona. I can't imagine it. Matter of fact, I don't want to imagine it. That does not sound like good basketball to me because the most successful lineups in the playoffs were those double big lineups. The most successful lineups in the finals, in the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals, were double center lineups. I need big basketball. I need better basketball. And I need guaranteed floor spacing. Adding VJ Edgecombe to that shooting guard lineup. Yes, VJ Edgecombe is a third overall pick. Yes, VJ Edgecombe does have a high ceiling. But realistically, guys, VJ Edgecombe just won't be ready for the start of the season to have good games and be impactful for good reasons. I love VJ. I love Maxey. And I can't get enough of that Jared McCain guy, man. If he keeps knocking down those jumpers, I'm going to keep screaming that he's Steph, he's Steph, he's Steph until someone says he's not. But, guys, that lineup right there, Bobby King, I would like a better lineup just to circle around. I would like Jared McCain, Tyrese Maxey, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre. Because then you got your spacers, then you got your attackers, you got 4 bona fide scorers, and then I'm not mad about putting Dembona in there. I'm not upset about putting a guaranteed hustler, a guaranteed workhorse, a rebounder, a blocker, a rim protector, Dembona for the defensive impact with these 3 to 4 offensive juggernauts and stars. I love that combination and culmination of players, guys. But, guys, like, comment, and subscribe because the more you comment, the more we can get to, guys. You leave a comment or two. We read more than a few. We've got you covered with all your daily Sixer discourse. Guys, thanks for stopping back in.